Hello, hello, wherever you are on this delightful planet called Earth, I wish you abounding peace wherever you are located. Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of the greatest basketball players who will ever live, who has played in the modern era. There was a golden age of the NBA, and there is the current age of the NBA. He was a member of one of the founding teams of the NBA. He has won 3 championships. I believe he also won 3 MVPs back to back. Also, this man, from what I've been told, because unfortunately, even though I grew up when he was playing basketball, when I was a child, I did not love basketball much. I loved it in 1991 when I saw Michael Jordan playing against one of the NBA's legendary teams. That's when I fell in love with it. So unfortunately, I did not get to see him play live at his peak. Since I loved the NBA in 1991, I did get to watch him in his declining years when he was not much of an impact anymore. So by now, you have guessed it, the legendary player I'm going to be talking about is Larry Bird. Unfortunately, my good people, the facts I'm going to be giving about him, about 10 facts. I'm sure he has a middle name, but hey, on the fact sheet I'm going to read you, it just listed his name as Larry Bird. So here are 10 fascinating facts about the legendary Larry Bird, who is one of the NBA's greatest clutch performers. Larry Bird, along with Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan, is one of the most recognized names in the history of basketball. True, the hit from French Lick was known not only for his impressive basketball skills, but his hard work ethic and grueling style of play. Yes, I heard that he was one of the players who started that 1,000 shot practice. Like Kobe Bryant did it and many others. That 1,000 shot practice session probably came from Larry Bird. And I said probably. I didn't do the research on it. Though he played throughout the 1980s into the early 1990s, when I became interested in basketball, his exploits and victories in the world of basketball are still spoken of and praised by fans of the sport. He has some of the facts about the man they called Larry Legend, and he was a legend at this time. And I found him more. I love Magic Johnson, and I love Michael Jordan. Now, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, they both are equally on the same playing field when it comes to athletic prowess. Both of them, they could jump, but they were not phenomenal leapers. Neither one of them had quick reflexes or quick outstanding speed. But what they had, which many basketball players throughout history lack, is basketball smarts. When it came to knowing about basketball, Larry Bird is one of the rare men who was a genius on the basketball court. Now, he wasn't no genius at calculus or trigonometry. He couldn't play no fancy musical instrument. But his genius level was, he had a high basketball IQ. So let's learn more about this historic figure. Number 10, he grew up in poverty. Yes, as you see in the pictures, he was not a wealthy person. If you call you a hick from French Lick, that means you damn well not know coming from no family of money. Usually when we call somebody a hick, we call them a hick because they come from a trailer park. So you can basically say he was almost. Now I don't think he lived in a trailer park, but he was close to being a trailer park person. Larry Bird was born in West Baden, a small town next to French Lick, Indiana. So he was born in Indiana. itself a small farming town with a population of 2,000. He was the fourth of 6 children born to Joe and Georgia Bird. His father mainly worked construction between long stints of unemployment, so his father didn't work much. And his mother worked in a diner to make ends meet. I didn't know that. I thought she was a stay-at-home mom. The family's small house was situated beside railroad tracks and only had a coal furnace for warmth, one that would often break down, leaving the family in harsh conditions during some winter nights. See, I never knew that about Larry Bird. I knew I was a hit from French Lick, but I didn't know his household suffered. I didn't know that. Because Larry Bird is basically a stoic person. He probably give interviews to slight people, like right now. He probably give interviews to a handful of people, but he's not a real talkative guy. His father was also an alcoholic who sometimes spent his earnings at the local bar instead of bringing them home to his family. Although this does not happen often, due to financial difficulties, Larry will often be sent to live with his grandmother. But whether in West Baden or French Lick, he received no relief from the desperate conditions which surrounded him. Larry also said his desire to escape from a life of poverty was one of the biggest motivators behind his success. Perhaps this is why all through his childhood, Larry would take 200 practice shots every morning before going to school. See, like I said, he probably the one who started that 1,000 shot practice. As a child, he was taking 200 shots. I wonder how many young children today are doing stuff like that, taking 200 shots before school. And he was not born in a prehistoric age. He probably was born in the 1940s, 1930s, so he still had the typical modern American school, where he had to be to school probably 8 o'clock, 8:30. Number 9, his father shot himself. When Larry Bird was just 18 years old, just 18? What do you mean? That's old. It ain't like he's 10 or 8. His father shot himself right after making a phone call to Larry's mother, probably say his goodbyes. The couple were divorced at that point. Oh, so he was depressed, man. He was divorced from his wife. And that's not when Larry Bird was growing up, I'm sure that was that sure was not as common as it is today. With Joe, alcoholism being the main reason for their separation. Support payments were due and work was non-existent, which led Joe to the decision that the family would be better served through insurance money. Hey, I thought if you took your own life, you don't get no insurance money. Maybe he didn't know it then, or maybe they'd still give you money then. Hey, who knows? Just before he was to be picked up by the police for failing to make his payments. Oh, so even back then he had child support payments. Joe called his wife and told her she didn't need to worry anymore about the situation. He then hung up and fired one shot into his head, killing himself instantly. So he made sure he knew what he was doing. He didn't shoot himself in the arm or the leg. He said, I'm going to take myself out. He probably shot himself right in the center of his head or right on the side. But regardless, the bullet did severe brain damage. Alright. Growing up, Larry was best friends with his father. Oh, so he was close to his dad. I didn't know that. See, that's something new for me. The two spent almost all their time together, so Joe's death affected Larry deeply. So we can say this, ladies and gentlemen, even though Joe Bird suffered from alcoholism, you can see he loved his children. He loved his wife. This was an alcoholic, but he loved his children. Being a very private person, Larry never publicly showed it. Although he felt betrayed by his father's act, Larry did manage to learn more than one lesson from him that he would carry for the rest of his life. His father did work when he could, and he was a hard worker. Joe once spent a weekend nursing what looked like a broken foot. I heard about that, the broken foot incident from television. Larry recalled helping his father get into his boots, despite his foot being almost completely black and swollen. Wow, I heard that too. After an immense struggle, Larry managed to help his dad get ready, and off Joe limped to another construction job, despite the pain. Many fans marvel at Larry's ability to play basketball through all types of injuries. though few knew where he got his work ethic from. So, as a young, well, probably before the age of 18, because you know his father killed himself when Larry was 18. So up until the age, I say 5 to 17, he saw his dad was a hard worker, and he saw his dad going to work with all types of ailments. So that would affected Larry Bird, because if you see some of his footage, he did not mind diving on the floor. He played with that bad back when he could. So he got that ethic from his father, suck it up, and get on that court and play. Number 8, he dropped out of college and worked as a garbage man. Heard that one on television. He was recruited by Bobby Knight of the legendary Indiana Hoosiers into Indiana University straight from high school. So that means even then, he was a top-notch player to be recruited by Bobby Knight, who was even well known in, and the Indiana Hoosiers. He was a top-level player. Larry Bird would last only a few weeks before he left, due to not only the strangeness of his new environment, but a severe lack of funds. Larry returned home to French Lick, where he also dropped out of junior college. Wow, so he dropped out of a major college and a junior college. He took a job with the city as a garbage man, out of necessity. In the meantime, he also found himself newly married and with a child. See, we don't hear about that much. He put his first wife on the back burner. I didn't know he was a garbage man, but as you know, people, if you're a garbage man, at least you make a little decent money. So if he didn't play basketball, he probably had that garbage man job until the day he retired. And he still would have liked African American players or men, because many garbage men are African Americans. And Larry Bird, he loved dealing with African Americans up until this very day. Larry said of the job, "I loved that job. It was outdoors. You were around your friends. See, with those men talking, joking, and laughing." Because I heard that Larry Bird was a good teammate, even though he was quiet. He did talk and joke and laugh with his teammates, and he was a great trash talker. So when he played basketball, he probably kept running his mouth. Picking up brush, cleaning it up, I felt like I was really accomplishing something. How many times are you riding around your town and you say to yourself, why didn't they fix that? Why don't they clean the streets up? And here I had the chance to do that. See, he cared about his neighborhood. He loved it. I had the chance to make my community look better. See, he loved his environment. Things probably would have been stayed this way, and the world would have never heard of Larry Bird if it were not for Bill Hodges, who fought hard to get Larry to come to the smaller Indiana State University and play ball there. In his senior year, Larry would lead his college team to a 33-0 record. Wow. And a chance to face his future rival, Magic Johnson, for the 1979 NCAA championship. It was this game that would mark the beginning of one of the biggest rivalries in all of sports history. Yes, my good people, if Larry Bird had not gone back to college, the NBA probably would still have been in tatters. Yes, Magic Johnson would have been a member of the Los Angeles Lakers, but he would not have his polar opposite in the East and the cold city of Boston. And that's even more beautiful. One player lived in the warm weather, where it was glitzy, famous. Another player lived in the era where it was definitely cold weather in Boston, and it was not as ritzy and flashy. It was a hard-working town. So Bird didn't have gone back to that smaller college, the NBA would have lacked that rivalry that regenerated or renewed interest in basketball. Here we go. Number 7. His rivalry with Magic Johnson was made into a documentary and a Broadway play. Long after the two had retired from the NBA, their legends remained fresh in the minds of older and younger fans alike. This led HBO Sports to make the 2010 documentary Magic and Bird, a courtship of rivals. Later on, the documentary was turned into a Broadway play. It was this rivalry that would mark the turning point for the NBA as an organization and would become probably the single biggest sports story of the 1980s. Also, it would lead to a very close friendship between the two rival basketball stars, one that started out as anything but. Larry lost to Magic in the 1979 NCAA championship. It would take him 5 long years to best his rival in the 1984 NBA championship. Until that time, the two actually hated each other. It was only shortly after that, when the two filmed a television commercial together, that a friendship would develop between them. Yes, I saw that television incident. You all probably have seen it too. I think it was Adidas shoes or something like that. Nike wasn't big then, so it probably was Adidas. When I was a child in the 1980s, Adidas was the shoes to get. Though a very unusual one, to this day, they remain very close but never had the day-to-day contact that most friends have. Instead, knowing their lives will be forever linked, the two only meet at times required by their careers, like at the Hall of Fame or whatever. The relationship has been described as kind of private club between the two, one that both of them must pay their dues to from time to time. It seems this friendship and the way it plays out is just fine for both men and will continue until their final days. Number 6. Basketball accomplishments. Here we go. We're going to hear about all his glories. The amount of accomplishment Larry Bird had in the NBA basketball world is simply mind-blowing. They include being a 3-time NBA champion, which is rare. Currently, the Golden State Warriors have 3 championships, but it's rare. The Pistons only won 2. And the Houston Rockets only won 2. And I believe the Pistons in the early 2000s only won 1. And San Antonio, yeah, they won 5, but I don't think they had a back-to-back. And I don't think Bird had back-to-back championships either. 3-time MVP, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, 12-time All-Star, All-Star Game MVP, NBA Rookie of the Year, 3-time three-point shootout champion. Wow, I never knew that. And a 2-time member of the 50-40-90 club. Yes, 50 shooting percentage point, 40% shooting from the 3-point line, which is rare back in the 1980s and the early 1990s. Most players did not get no 40% from the 3-point line. So imagine what Larry Bird would get today if he was a current player shooting 3-pointers. And 90% shooting from the free throw line, which is another rarity. Wow, that's huge. Club. Having a season scoring average of at least 50% in field goals, 40% in 3-point shots, as I said, and 90% in free throws. Add to that his accomplishments as a coach for the Indiana Pacers, who almost made it to the NBA Finals but were defeated by the Chicago Bulls. And later as an executive, he has won awards for both. And one can see that no one knows basketball quite like Larry. Furthermore, his college career was outstanding as well. Here, he averaged 30.3 points, 13.3 rebounds, and 4.6 assists per game, and led his team to an 81-13 record during his 3 years of play. How many players can say that? 81-13 records. Not many. Despite all his accomplishments, Larry was known as a very unselfish player. He was a team player. His teammates loved him, just like his rival Magic Johnson, which is probably why he is known not only as one of the game's best scorers, but also one of his best passers as well. An example of his unselfish style of play can be found in his 1985 game against the Utah Jazz, in which he came within 1 steal from recording an ultra-rare quadruple double, which is rare. I know Hakeem Olajuwon has did it. I think he did it about 2 times. And I think David Robinson has did it. If I make a mistake, you all correct me. And also, if you like what you're hearing about Larry Bird, please give me a thumbs up click. If you want to subscribe for future discussions I have about any sports figure or team, etc., please subscribe to the channel. Let's carry on. But instead chose to leave the game for the bench earlier. Wow! Unlike today's player, they would say, let me get my quadruple double. He said, I don't care. Let me go to the bench. So Larry Bird was not worried about his stats like some players are today, saying he already did enough damage. Up until that year, only one other player, David Robinson, had ever officially recorded a quadruple-double in NBA history. And yet, Larry let his other teammates have the limelight. As if all this was not enough, even the Twitter mascot is named after Larry. Wow. So that's impressive, my good people. He would have been an NBA lore. He's already an NBA lore already, so what more do we need if we got a quadruple-double? All right. And let me see what I'm going to say next. 5, comparison to Michael Jordan. Here's a little clip about his comparison. Let me hear what James Worthy has to say. Let's listen to this, good people.
He was a basketball genius. He'd be a step ahead, a thought ahead, play the game like a chess game. I'd much rather guard Michael Jordan than Larry Bird because you have to play the game as a thinker when you're playing him. You have to get inside his mind. Larry wasn't quick, couldn't jump really high, but there were just some sleepless nights.
Bird takes the bomb.
Alright, so that's it. It was only a 29-second clip, so hey. Air Jordan is considered by many to be the greatest player of all time, or the GOAT in today's terms, and rightly so. However, few people realize just how close to eclipsing that greatness Larry came in his career. A comparison between the two players reveals the truth. One can see that Larry matches or beats Jordan in almost every statistical category except points and steals per game. When asked, more than one player has stated that Larry was harder to guard than Jordan, as James Worthy just now stated. Many have said that it wasn't athleticism that made Larry great, but his mind, as I said, his basketball IQ. He played the game like a thinker. He was known not only for his uncanny ability to read his opponent's plays, but for they were even completed, but for finding a way to get himself open in even the most crowded of plays. People he played with and against have said he was a basketball genius, as I stated earlier, with an inflexible will to win. Time and time again, he proved this on court. And just for the record, how was Larry's performance against Michael Jordan and the Bulls? Larry won 17 games while Michael won 11. A stat that plays testament to Larry's true greatness. Number 4, we hear about this a lot, his trash talking prowess. Let's hear what this player has to say.
Here he was out there with a quarter of black guys out there talking trash with him, and the rest of the fellas are sitting there going, "Hey, the boy bad. What can you say?" You know. And I think what America saw in this guy was somebody who really didn't see race.
If you put all of us in a room, you know, Magic, Jordan, myself, and Bird probably be the guy who walks out of the room at the end of the day.
We had a three-point contest at the All-Star break, and Larry walks in and says, "I hope all you guys in here are thinking about second place because I'm winning this."
Excuse me?
And he started shooting, and he just didn't miss.
Larry was the originator of getting in your face and talking trash. And then you sit there and you go, "What's this guy up in my face talking noise? He ain't that fast, he's slow." But he knew how to aggravate you, agitate you enough to get you out of your game.
I was guarding in my rookie year. He looks at me and he goes, "You can't stop me." And I looked at him and I said, "Gosh, boy, you're so confident." He goes, "Confident? You're a rookie. You don't know anything." He proceeded to score like 10 straight points on me. The coach took me out the game. He walks by and he's laughing at me.
Larry Bird catches the ball in the corner. I take off running out at Larry Bird. And right when he's getting ready to shoot, I jump
And as I go by, him, he tells me, he says, "Fly, bird." And I go right by him, he shoots the ball, it's nothing but nylon.
Larry Bird was a pain in the neck. Anytime we had a chance to win, Larry Bird changed that.
Larry Bird.
There was a certain confidence you had because, you know, if you ever got in trouble, give the ball to Larry and get out of his way, and he'd deliver.
Double teaming Bird. Larry, fake, ball away.
He was a cold-blooded killer. In the last 24 seconds, he would demand the basketball in the huddle.
Baseline throws it up and Larry Bird did it again. He did it again. Oh my goodness. He did it again.
He was a basketball genius. He'd be a step ahead, a thought ahead, play the game like a chess game. I'd much rather guard Michael Jordan than Larry Bird because you have to play the game as a thinker when you're playing him. You have to get inside his mind. Larry wasn't quick, couldn't jump really high, but there was just some sleepless nights.
Bird takes the ball. It's gone. It is gone.
I remember the time when Larry got on the roll, started shooting the balls, every shot was going in.
Goodbye, she's gone. I got the 2-pointer, it was too close.
When he ran by the bench, he goes, "That's a heat check. You see how hot I am." All right, he runs by Frank Layden, who's the funniest guy in the league, and Frank is coaching, and Larry says to him, "Hey, Frank, don't you have anybody on that bench who can guard me?" He goes, "Nobody out here can." Frank looks down at the bench and goes, "No." Magic couldn't wait to give you the best smile and say, "How are you?" Make you feel good. Larry Bird would rather say, you don't even say hi to me. I'd rather not get involved with this."
The media begs off with Larry because they're very afraid of him. They're afraid to somehow or another infuriate him. They're afraid to ask the tough questions. He somehow or another has that way of intimidating the media as he intimidated players.
Never said to me at any point in our conversations off the record. And I asked him once about that. I said, "Well, why don't you ever hold back? Why don't you say off the record?" He says, "I don't care what you write. I don't read it."
Bird's unwillingness to back down from the media was an extension of his aggressiveness on the court.
Bird fights Kareem. Sings the elbow and now is yelling at Larry Bird.
You could never back down.
Jaw to jaw.
So once you do, people look at you different. You had to stand up for everything you believed in, and even if it's the one playing basketball, if somebody took the gloves off and wanted to go, you had to go. If you didn't, there's no use playing.
Bird's hard nose was never more visible than during a 1984 game with the 76ers when he took issue with Dr. J.
Larry was complaining to the refs, and I was complaining to the refs, and the next time down the court, he got in my face.
I was up 38-6. That's how I summarize it.
He wasn't out to play basketball for the money. He was out there to step up and win and look in your eyes and say to you, "You can't beat me."
The 84 Olympic team was playing an exhibition game against a bunch of pros, including Larry Bird, and they were in the warm-ups. And a ball bounced down from the college end of the court to the pro end. And Michael Jordan went down to chase it. The ball happened to be picked up by Larry Bird. And Michael went up a few feet away from Larry Bird and held out his hands. And Bird took the ball and fired it back down the court over Jordan's head, as if to say, "You're not only not getting this ball, I don't give a damn who you are." Larry Bird knows exactly who this guy is and what's going to happen in the next few years. And he wants to get every edge he can get right now.
Listen, I got a pulled hamstring, so I'm not playing tonight. He walks down to me. "Man, I'm sorry you're not playing." But he said, "I'm going to tell you what. Since you're here, I'm going to put a show on for you. So you just sit back and watch, okay?" And I'm like, "Man, get out of my face, man. I don't want to hear that. That's Celtics and the Lakers." Every time he hit one, he look at me. I was getting ready to start a game and get up to the jump ball, and Larry said, just out of the blue, he goes, "Go ahead, Kevin, tell Elvin Hayes what you told me." And I didn't tell him anything. And I said, "Go ahead and tell him, you said you were going to kick his ass." And I'm like, "Oh, man." And Elvin Hayes was looking at me.
Well, at that point, it was hard to say no. I didn't say anything. I said, I guess so. But, Larry just got so started up. Larry is a funny guy.
He had unshakable confidence. If he could get his shot off, he felt like we was going to win the ball game.
As soon as Larry let it go, he virtually turns to the bench and he's looking over like, you should have had more than one guy on.
I remember we were playing Washington in Washington one night, and Larry just hit what would have been the game-winning shot. KC called timeout.
Won't count. It does not count. Washington called a timeout.
Larry came back to the bench, and he was a little upset.
He looks at the bench and says, hey guys, when I come back after timeout, I'm going to go right to the same spot. And I'm going to kick it in.
He told Washington, I'm going to get the ball.
2 seconds left. The Bullets by 1. Aims to Bird. He gets a good shot in the Celtics win it. Boy, this is something else. Incredible. And Bird wins it at the buzzer.
How many people you know would talk to the other team like this and say, I'm going to stick it in your face?
And at the end of one of the trips, he had accomplished every goal. We hadn't lost a game on the trip. And Larry told all of us players and the media too, we were all standing around waiting to leave. He said, tomorrow night's the last game of the trip. I'm going to play this one left-handed at least through 3 quarters. And at the end of 3 quarters, the next night in Portland against poor Jerome Kersey, he had 27 points left-handed. And it was a remarkable performance.
Oh man, Larry was so confident, so extremely confident.
Larry said, you guys want to win the game? Everybody said, sure. Yeah, absolutely. He goes, give me the ball and get out of the way.
They needed 3 to win it, and I got to play Larry. So I'm down in the post, knowing that he's going to come off of a pick. So I'm holding his jersey, and I'm doing everything I can to block his pass, whatever I could do to stop him from getting an open shot. Once the shot was airborne, I just knew it was going in. That's the nightmare that you have when you know a player like Larry Bird has an opportunity to get a shot off.
Hired in 1997, Larry Bird earned Coach of the Year in his first season. He brought his team to the verge of defeating the defending champion Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals.
When the Pacers hit the shot, and Bird just sat there and did not move. To me, that was so Larry Bird. He was the one calm guy in the place.
He's made so many last-second and heroic shots himself. I think he was more so thinking about the next situation.
We'd won the game, and he'd won it in almost spectacular fashion, which Larry could do. So I said, Larry, how do you make all those shots? Just like that. He said, I do all that all the time.
Alright, I hope you enjoyed the little 9-minute clip on Bird. Let me continue on with my little expose of him. Another legendary trait of Bird was his extreme confidence, as you saw in the video. One that he was not afraid to show off on the court, as you saw in the video again. He would often predict his game scores in advance, as well as tell the other team he would be getting the ball during clutch moments. He was simply never afraid once he stepped on the court, no matter the circumstances of the game. Oddly enough, he has said that he always got nervous before each game and that he hated the feeling. Like I heard that Bill Russell, I heard that he used to vomit before every game. But I never heard if Michael Jordan got nervous before a game. So if Michael Jordan got butterflies in the stomach, somebody put in the comment section to let me know how Michael Jordan felt before a game, and let me know how Magic Johnson felt before a game. But the Celtics players, Bill Russell and Larry Bird, felt nervous before the game. And Bill Russell got so nervous I heard that he used to vomit a lot. Other players of his era not only his trash talking about his ability to fight if needed. Larry got into more than one scrap during his career, as you all saw against Dr. J. Perhaps most notable is the one he got into with Dr. J during a game in which they were both fined $7,500, which was a lot of money in the 80s. Even though the fight was broken up, Lloyd returned for seconds, not being quite finished with his opponent. Also, Bird wanted to get back on the court. Here's another clip about Lloyd's injuries. Let's see what this clip is about.
Larry had two jobs his last 7 years of playing. It was playing basketball, and then it was him being committed to taking care of his back.
He had first heard it in 1985, building the driveway at his mom's house back in French Lick.
Larry decides to do it himself. This is Larry Bird, the superstar, out there breaking his back, literally shoveling gravel. And that was the beginning of a process.
I would see him on TV laying down, and then they told me that he had to lay down on planes, different things like that. And I was like, wow.
As Magic soared through the prime of his career, Bird was breaking down. His deteriorating back and punishing style of play proving an excruciating mix.
From 88 to 92, it was painful to watch. It was painful to cover. Larry is quite ornery when he's not feeling well, which means he was ornery for those next 4 years.
He could manage the pain in a way that very few people can do. There'd be days he could come in the office and he couldn't stand up straight.
But even after 2 ruptured Achilles tendons, surgery on his back in 1991, Bird kept going to work. Product of a lesson learned many years before, seeing the swollen ankle of a man long since gone.
Well, we don't know if it broke or not, but it looked broke to me. Had to go to work and he had to get his boot on, and it took everything I had to help him get that boot on his foot. And he stood up limping, and he says, "I'll see you this weekend," because he was working construction at the time. And I was pretty amazed how he could fight through that all week and come home on the weekend, and it was black and swollen, and he'd sit around on the weekend and put that boot on and go again. If you get paid to go to work, you got to go to work.
It was a situation that he was seeing almost daily. He had lost the structural stability in his spine, so it would slip into abnormal positions to try and lock itself to get an artificial stability. That's like getting your finger stuck in a door and somebody's still pushing on the door. So what we had to do was unlock his spine, realign it, do techniques that would hold that for 4 hours, 6 hours, that type of thing, and then he'd go play basketball.
Every time I would play, I was wondering if I was going to be in a wheelchair, was I ever going to be able to, walk on the beach or hold my kids.
His pain and his quest for basketball became all-encompassing. Very few people really knew what Larry was living with, because this was Larry's issue, and there was no sharing of his pain.
I probably should have retired in 88, 89, but it's that competition. And maybe one more chance, maybe Magic get together in the finals, but it never happened.
Okay, so let's keep moving on. In 1985, Lloyd Bird decided to build the driveway for his mother. So I'm going to skip this part right here. I'm going to skip that and move on to the next section, because let's talk about the injury that we just saw. Number 2, he never forgot his roots. We all know that. He came from French Lick. We know that he was working at his mother's property where he hurt his back. So he never forgot his hometown. He never threw his hometown in the garbage can. Lloyd Bird had homes in West Baden and French Lick, Indiana, which have now been turned to fancy hotels that any adoring fan can stay in. In 2007, Lloyd sold his home in French Lick just for the right purpose. Anyone with a reservation can now practice on the right court where Lloyd's friendship with Magic Johnson began. In addition to that, there's a Lloyd-themed restaurant in French Lick. Although Lloyd does not own or make any money from the restaurant, he has publicly endorsed it and donated many items of memorabilia for decoration. The town, of course, has also celebrated its biggest star and even renamed a street to Lloyd Bird Boulevard. Nice. Even today, Lloyd often visits his hometown for entire summers, and and walked down the streets and avenues as just a normal and humble Indiana hometown hero. How sweet. He used to be kind of a pig. I guess that's his big foot right there. For an athlete with such impressive skills and a rigorous training routine, at times Lloyd would simply let himself go. Earlier in his career, he would not only chew tobacco, much to the disgust of his teammates, but also drink heavily on more than one victory night. One time, he even managed to drink the giant Charles Barkley under the table. Wow! A feat few could match. Worse than that was the time when, due to an injury, he was unable to play. Within a few weeks, Lloyd ate 38 liters or 10 gallons of ice cream and 7 wedding cakes. So he had a big appetite. He was 6'9", by the way, because you knew they was going to be good. I mean, who would have up a wedding cake? He used profanity there. Lloyd also had a spiteful side, although in good-natured sort of way. During the filming of Space Jam, he would often steal food and beverages from Jordan's cooler, just despite the fact that Jordan had his own special cooler that no one was allowed to touch. He didn't only take snacks for him, he would also toss them around the set daily, just because he could. Last but not least, which is not too good to say, he has a daughter he has rarely spoken to, so he may be a deadbeat dad. Maybe this is from his first wife, who he probably threw under the table. Who knows? During the period in his life when he dropped out of college and returned home to work, Lloyd was briefly married to a girl he had known for years. Her name was Jeanette, and they had a daughter named Corey. Lloyd, being a private person, has never spent much time with his daughter or her mother, and views the relationship as a mistake. It is not the fear of fatherhood that drives him away from Corey, as Lloyd has 2 adopted children. Lloyd has never really spoken of his distance from his true child. Wow, that's not good. The only real statement he has made in print is in his autobiography, in which Lloyd states, "I can't honestly say I've had that much to do with her life because of my differences with Jen." Okay, so Lloyd, come on, man. You letting your relationship with the mother affect your child that you made 100%. I think about Corey all the time. That's good. But what can I really do? But she's an adult now. You can pick up the phone and deal with her. I can't go back and relive the first 5 or 7 years of her life. Corey is a fine and beautiful young lady. Her mother has done a great job bringing her up in the best way possible. Corey is also very athletic. She's good at everything she does, and I'm really proud of her. To tell you the truth, I've never really known her to handle the situation. But I love her. Anytime Corey needs anything, I will be there for her. That's wonderful. Like all larger-than-life figures, Lloyd Bird has a human side. He's had a life with the kinds of ups and downs we all do. True. No one is perfect, but Lloyd, legend, sure comes close. Really? At least on the basketball court. Okay, that's true. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for stopping by, for watching the clips. Listen to our top 10 Lloyd Bird facts. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. If you would like to subscribe to hear future content about any sports that I find worthy, please subscribe. Until the next time, peace.